It is strange that asking an AI for a simple diet plan might soon be illegal in New York. Yet that exact same technology is actively saving lives in southern Africa. It does this by reading old newspaper clippings. It is a strange paradox.
Oh, right. And it gets weird fast. The landscape is shifting constantly. We're watching society scramble to keep up.
Welcome to this deep dive. We are exploring the friction of integrating AI into society today. First, we will examine a new New York bill. It tries to ban AI from acting like a licensed professional. Then, we look at the wild west of everyday AI tools. We will uncover some unexpected economic ripple effects there. Finally, we explore a brilliant pivot by Google. They are predicting flash floods using written text.
It is a massive spectrum of human adaptation. We're watching society try to build guardrails. At the same time, the technology is sprinting right past them.
Let us start with what is happening in New York. State lawmakers are advancing a very specific, aggressive bill. It targets AI tools acting like licensed professionals.
The scope here is incredibly broad. We're talking about 14 different licensed professions. This includes medicine, law, psychology, and engineering. It even covers dentistry and social work.
The core of the bill is a strict ban. It would make it illegal for software to give a substantive response in those areas. That applies to anything normally requiring a state license.
This is a radical departure from normal tech regulation. Usually, tech regulation relies on government fines. An agency investigates an issue, then issues a penalty. This bill is completely different. It includes a private right of action.
Let us unpack the mechanics of that. A private right of action. That means users can sue the chatbot providers directly.
Exactly. You don't have to wait for a government regulator at all. Any regular citizen can file a civil lawsuit. If they believe the AI gave professional advice, they can sue.
And companies can't just hide behind their terms of service. The sources state that adding warnings will not protect the developers. Legal disclaimers are completely useless under this proposed law.
Yeah, users can still sue the providers directly. And if it passes, this law moves incredibly fast. It takes effect roughly 3 months after the governor signs it.
That is practically overnight in the tech world, giving companies 3 months to audit entire language models. That seems practically impossible to execute.
It probably is impossible. And here is the real underlying issue. The bill does not clearly define what counts as a substantive response.
That is the ultimate danger zone. Beat. It is kind of like outlawing medical textbooks just because they contain medical facts and then letting the readers sue the printing press.
That is a perfect analogy. A medical textbook is full of substantive medical facts. But we don't sue publishers for practicing unlicensed medicine. The New York bill essentially says that if an AI reads that textbook and then summarizes a paragraph for you, the developer is suddenly liable.
It creates a massive gray area. This ambiguity could make harmless educational responses legally risky.
Think about the chilling effect this creates. Developers might just block any query related to those 14 professions. They will heavily over-censor the models just to avoid frivolous lawsuits.
Let me ask you this. If a student asks an AI to explain a legal concept for school, does the developer get sued?
The sheer ambiguity of the word substantive creates that exact risk. A thorough, helpful explanation could easily be misconstrued as legal advice. A jury would have to decide.
So basic education becomes a legal minefield for developers.
Yes, they will have to choose between educational utility and legal safety. In a corporate environment, safety will almost always win.
While regulators try to draw neat lines, the actual technology is spilling into everything. It's creating totally unexpected economic loops.
It really is a messy reality. Let's look at the strange economics of coding right now. AI makes writing code much faster and cheaper, but hiring for software engineers is actually increasing.
That seems entirely counterintuitive. If the machine writes the code, why hire more human engineers?
Because companies now realize they want to build more software, the overall demand for software is practically infinite. We are seeing a classic economic principle playing out here.
You mean the Jevons paradox? Let's
Yeah.
define that. It means efficiency makes a resource cheaper, so people use more of it.
Yes, exactly. Lowering the cost of code just unlocks new, highly ambitious projects. We aren't replacing the engineers. We are massively scaling their output.
And the tools those engineers use are evolving rapidly. We're moving away from simple chatbots toward autonomous systems. I still wrestle with prompt drift myself.
Oh, we all do. You ask an AI to draft a simple email. By the third revision, it is somehow talking like a 19th century poet. Keeping it on track is exhausting.
That is exactly why the industry is moving toward AI agents.
Yeah.
To clarify what that means, it is software that runs in the background and takes actions for you.
Perfect definition. Look at what Perplexity is doing right now. They just launched something called Personal Computer. It is an always-on AI agent running on a Mac Mini.
Hold on, giving an AI constant access to my screen and files. That sounds like a privacy nightmare waiting to happen. Why would anyone opt into that?
It is definitely a privacy trade-off. But people opt in because it delegates tedious digital chores. It can control your files, your apps, and your web sessions. It is fundamentally different from a search engine. It operates your machine for you.
Google is taking a similar interactive approach, right? They are quietly updating Google Maps. Instead of typing a search, you can now talk to it.
Yeah, they added a new Ask Maps feature. You can ask complex, highly contextual questions naturally. For example, you can ask where to charge a phone nearby. It understands the context and finds a location. It is rolling out to users right now.
It isn't just about productivity and mapping, though. The actual personalities of these models are shifting dramatically.
This is where things get truly weird. Amazon just added a sassy personality to their new Alexa Plus.
Sassy. For a household smart speaker.
Yes, it is an adults-only mode for the assistant. It can actually curse at you or roast your questions.
That is hilarious.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
why would engineers intentionally build that?
Well, it comes down to human psychology. People form parasocial relationships with AI. Perfect, subservient software is actually pretty boring. It feels robotic. But when a piece of software roasts your music taste, it mimics human friction. It feels more real.
That makes a lot of sense. We actually prefer technology that mimics our own flaws.
Exactly. Though it still blocks actual NSFW content, of course. You even have to pass extra security checks just to enable the sassy mode.
Meanwhile, other tech giants are stumbling behind the scenes. Meta has a secret AI model called Avocado.
Right. They just had to delay Avocado. They reportedly had some very disappointing internal tests. The official launch is pushed back to May.
And the industry rumor surrounding this is wild. Meta might actually consider using Google Gemini in the meantime.
That would be a massive shift in the AI arms race. Meta using a Google model would be a huge concession. It shows how hard it is to build foundational intelligence from scratch.
There is also massive money flowing into AI video generation right now. Pixverse just secured $300 million in funding.
And that funding is heavily backed by Alibaba. It reflects immense growing confidence in Pixverse specifically. The AI video sector is just exploding right now.
Speaking of AI video, it is already entering the geopolitical arena.
We need to look at this very objectively. A Chinese embassy recently posted an AI-generated video online. It was directly mocking a U.S. policy proposal.
They were mocking Trump's Shield of the Americas concept.
Huh.
The video showed a U.S. eagle promising security. Then, the eagle aggressively locks the region inside a cage. Now, we must be perfectly clear here.
Right. We are not endorsing any political viewpoint, left or right. We are merely analyzing this as an objective example of the technology.
Exactly. We are looking at how AI video tools are being deployed. They are now actively used in global geopolitical messaging.
It drastically lowers the barrier for high-quality propaganda. Anyone can generate a compelling metaphorical video in minutes. You don't need an animation studio anymore. You just need a prompt.
This brings me back to the economics of it all. Will always-on AI agents eventually break the Jevons paradox loop by completely replacing the need for human developers to build that extra software?
Not anytime soon. Right now, it just means humans manage the agents to build even more complex systems. We become directors, not just typists.
Lowering the barrier just raises the ceiling for what we build.
Precisely. We just keep building taller and taller digital structures.
We will continue our deep dive in just a moment.
Stick around. Mid-roll sponsor break.
And we are back. It is easy to get distracted by sassy smart speakers, but there's a much quieter AI breakthrough happening that is literally saving lives.
We need to talk about the reality of flash floods. They are incredibly destructive natural disasters. They kill over 5,000 people every single year.
Flash floods are incredibly destructive, mostly because they're notoriously hard to predict. They happen extremely fast and are hyper-localized to specific neighborhoods.
Usually, predicting them requires expensive physical infrastructure. You need physical river gauges installed. You need advanced local radar systems scanning the skies.
Many countries simply do not have that kind of infrastructure. Building a national radar network costs billions of dollars.
So Google came up with a genuinely brilliant alternative. They decided to teach an AI to read the news.
They analyzed 5 million news articles from around the world. That is a staggering amount of unstructured text.
They used advanced natural language processing. The AI wasn't just searching for the word flood. It had to understand the linguistic context.
Right, it has to distinguish between a literal disaster and a metaphor. A flood of tears or a flood of emails isn't a weather event.
Exactly. It filtered out the metaphors to extract reports of actual flood events from those historical news stories.
They essentially turned historical journalism into historical weather data.
They did. From this text, they built a brand new data set. They call it the ground source data set.
Ground source contains 2.6 million individual flood reports. All of them were identified purely from written news coverage.
They meticulously geotagged the locations mentioned in the text. They accurately time-stamped the flood events based on the publication dates.
2-sec silence.
Oh.
Imagine scaling millions of old news clippings into a global radar.
It is a profound shift in scientific thinking. It is a historical weather data set created from written reports instead of physical sensors.
They used this ground source data set to train a predictive forecasting model.
Yes. They fed this massive historical pattern into an AI. By understanding exactly where and when it flooded before, the AI learns the geographic vulnerabilities. Now, the system is integrated into Google Flood Hub.
It identifies flood risks in urban areas across 150 countries. It shares these alerts directly with emergency response agencies.
And it is already working in the real world. One emergency response official in Southern Africa recently spoke about the trials.
They said the system actually helped them respond faster to incoming flood events. Real human lives are being positively impacted by this.
It is important to acknowledge the scientific limitations, though. The predictions currently cover areas of about 20 square kilometers.
That is fairly broad. It is not exactly block-by-block precision.
Right. It is not as precise as systems like the U.S. National Weather Service. Those systems use high-fidelity local radar data for pinpoint accuracy.
But this project wasn't built to replace local radar systems. It was designed specifically for regions entirely lacking advanced weather infrastructure.
It is for countries where traditional forecasting tools are completely unavailable. It provides a crucial baseline of safety where there was previously none.
Is this text-to-sensor methodology the missing link for developing nations that can't afford billion-dollar weather arrays?
Absolutely. It shows how historical text leapfrogs the need for expensive physical infrastructure. You leverage the conversational data that already exists in the world.
So text data acts as virtual weather sensors for the past.
Yes. And by deeply understanding the past, the AI can predict the future. It is a brilliant, life-saving substitution of resources.
We have covered a lot of fascinating ground today. We are currently stuck in a very messy technological transition.
We really are. We are watching society wrestle with a fundamental shift in capability.
On one end, we have blunt legal instruments. Look at the proposed New York bill. It is trying to shove AI back into a neat professional box.
It is trying to apply old liability frameworks to a totally new paradigm. By doing so, it will probably stifle basic education in the process.
On the other end, we have the messy reality of the Wild West. The Jevons paradox is driving software demand through the roof.
We have sassy Amazon assistants intentionally roasting us. We have geopolitical AI memes rapidly reshaping digital diplomacy. The friction of integration is everywhere.
But beneath all that friction, the technology is performing quiet miracles. Look at the success of Google Flood Hub, turning 5 million old news articles into a global flood warning system.
It proves that the most valuable application of AI is finding patterns in the noise.
That is exactly why this matters to you, the listener. The fundamental definition of knowledge is changing rapidly.
It used to be entirely about what you know. Rote memorization, stirring facts in your head.
Now, knowledge is about how you connect the dots. The raw facts are universally available to everyone. The synthesis is what actually matters.
AI is the ultimate synthesis engine. It can read 5 million articles in an afternoon. You cannot. But you can direct the engine.
You can ask the right questions. You can manage the autonomous agents. You can navigate the ethical and legal gray areas.
The New York lawmakers are stubbornly focused on what the AI knows. They are missing the bigger picture of how the AI synthesizes information.
Which leaves us with a fascinating prospect for the future. We're just scratching the surface of using text as a sensor.
The ground source data set is just one single application. Flood prediction is just one narrow domain of human experience.
Think about the sheer volume of written history we possess. Centuries of local newspapers, medical journals, and shipping logs.
It is an endless ocean of unstructured human data. We have never had the tools to process it comprehensively before now.
If Google can reconstruct historical weather patterns just by having an AI read the news, what other invisible patterns exist in the text humanity has already written, just waiting for an AI to connect the dots?
Could we predict economic crashes or disease outbreaks purely from historical literature?
It is something to think about.
Uh,
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.